Okay, good evening or good afternoon, wherever you may be. I'm called Professor Ogwang Patrick. I'm now a professor of pharmacology at Soroti University, and I'm the chairman and founder of Genabos Limited, the company that made Covidex when COVID attacked us. So today, we are going to talk about malaria, which is a big problem that kills many people in this country, especially children and pregnant mothers. And yet, we can prevent it, we can cure it, and we can actually remove it from Uganda if we put efforts together. I speak about malaria with confidence because I have a 17-year testimony for my own self. I used to get malaria 3 to 4 times a year when I was still at the Ministry of Health laboratory in Wandegea. And it would come with the flu and cough, which would affect me seriously. But from that laboratory at Ministry of Health, I learned from other herbalists and people that there are some plants that people use regularly, they drink it, and they don't get malaria. One of the plants I found was aloe vera or chigaji, which some people boil and drink, and actually don't get malaria. The other one is neem tree, the leaves or the bark or the root. Some people drink it every week once and don't get malaria. There are also plants which I studied like Artemisia species, Artemisia annua, Artemisia vulgaris, Artemisia afra. When people drink them as tea, they also don't get malaria. So, malaria can be prevented, and we have solutions for it here. Now, in 2009, 2008, government of Uganda gave me money for research through Uganda National Council of Science and Technology. And I followed up 2 communities, one in Fort Portal, one in Entebbe, that were drinking Artemisia annua tea once a week. And I found that those who are drinking that tea had 80% less fevers and less malaria cases. 80%, both in Entebbe and in Fort Portal. So I decided to do research to develop that plant into a product which I'll talk about later. Let's first go and ask ourselves, what is malaria? Malaria is a disease in which the parasite called Plasmodium enters your body through a mosquito bite and makes you develop fever and other symptoms. There are 5 species that cause malaria in human beings. Other animals also get malaria, like even goats get malaria, chicken get malaria, and so on. But human beings, there are 5 species that are known to cause malaria. The most common of them is Plasmodium falciparum, which is the most dangerous and the most common in Uganda and Africa. Plasmodium falciparum affects you, and within 40 hours of symptoms, you can even die because it affects your red blood cells and destroys them quickly. Now, how does malaria spread? First, there must be someone who has parasites in their body in a given area, in a house. The mosquito, an Anopheles mosquito will come and bite that person to get blood. The mosquito wants blood to make the eggs mature. So after biting a person who has the parasites, it will swallow that blood and the parasite into its gut, or we call it stomach, the mosquito. In the mosquito gut, the parasites will multiply from gametocytes to form what we call sporozoites. Then those sporozoites move to the salivary gland of the mosquito. When that mosquito next bites another person, it will inject those sporozoites into the blood of that person it has bitten. So before it sucks blood, it first injects. The goal of injecting is not to inject parasites, but to inject chemicals that stop blood from clotting when it is sucking the blood. So it will fix its proboscis, spit saliva there to prevent blood from clotting, but in the process, it will also spit the sporozoids, which are malaria-causing agents. Those sporozoids, within minutes to hours, move from the blood to your liver, and they will multiply in the liver for some days, 7 to 10 days in your liver, before you start getting symptoms of malaria. From the liver, they will move to red blood cells, enter them and start destroying your red blood cells. Malaria parasite will eat hemoglobin and digest it into other substances. Now, it's the point at which the red blood cells burst is when now you begin seeing fever, feeling fever, headache, and other type of symptoms. Now, apart from headache and fever, malaria also has different symptoms which are complicated. You can just have backache, you can just have neck pain, you can feel fatigue, but normally there's a symptom of fever and pain somewhere. So you can go and check yourself for malaria parasites in your blood using a microscope or RDTs. So before you treat yourself, you go and check. And easy to check, about 5,000 or 10,000 shillings you can get checked. Why is it important to check before you treat yourself? Symptoms are similar. UTI can cause same symptoms like malaria. So, but when you check, you can establish whether there's a parasite in your blood or not. Because 40% of fever cases are not malaria. They are due to viruses or bacterial infection or just fatigue. So when you check, you prevent 40% wasting of time and money to treat yourself. When you find that you have malaria parasites, there are drugs that are recommended. There are over-the-counter drugs like Coartem and others you can use before it becomes complicated. If you treat malaria early, it will not become complicated and you can recover faster. But if you delay, then it becomes difficult to treat and you can get cerebral malaria and other complications. Now, how do we prevent malaria from getting into our bodies? But before I go to prevention, let me talk about the most dangerous effects of malaria apart from killing people. Even though malaria makes us spend money and makes us sick and also can kill us, malaria does other things in our body. The parasites of malaria digest red blood cells hemoglobin. When they digest that hemoglobin, they will expose iron 2. Iron 2 is in hemoglobin. That iron 2 kills the parasites. The parasite will convert that iron 2 into iron 3, forming a pigment called hemozoin or malaria pigment. That hemozoin enters white blood cells, monocytes and others, and make them weak. They cannot fight infections. They cannot move very fast. They cannot release chemicals to attack infections. So you end up getting more malaria cases, more malaria parasites into your body, and then also other infections come in, viruses, bacteria, and so on. So it's important for you to try and avoid keeping malaria parasites in your body. Now, when you get hemozoin in your body, it will affect you in very many ways. I've already listed them. Malaria is also now linked to other diseases. Malaria has been found to increase HIV viruses in the blood. When you get fever or malaria, the virus will multiply more. You cannot get other viral infections. We think of malaria as a cause of some cancers, and also malaria has been linked to sickle cell disease occurrence. Now, prevention of malaria is critical. We all went to school where we were told that we should clear bushes around our homes. We should avoid stagnant water, either in bottles or in potholes around our homes, because mosquitoes lay eggs there. They can hatch and come and attack us. But even now we know that mosquitoes can lay on bare ground, like a dry ground. They can lay eggs there. When it rains, then they will hatch and they will come and attack us. So we need to clear bushes, but also to use mosquito nets. Nets help us reduce malaria attack by 50%. The challenge that we go to nets at night when you're not sleeping. When the evening or late in the night when you're out of bed, you can't use mosquito nets. But then we can also use mosquito repellents. We have Genamos, which we made for repelling mosquitoes. You just apply on your skin, on your face, on your hair, and the mosquito will keep away while you're still out of bed. We also developed a product called Genamal, which you take as tea or in porridge. It's a simple product like tea, but it will stop you from getting malaria. I've done 17 years, gotten malaria only once. Either we used to get every year 3 times. My daughter is now coming to 11 years. She has gotten malaria only once. So imagine a child in Uganda getting malaria only once. It's very unique. The boys, 6 and 7 years, have never gotten malaria, which means that this medicine works to stop you from getting malaria. If you cannot afford Genamal, you can use a Chigaji, you can use Neem tree, and it works to keep you safe. I thank you.